Hello everybody, Salam Sejahtera to the academics, teachers, lecturers, young professionals, ladies and gentlemen gathered here at this conference today. I'd like to first thank the organizers and of course Delvinda for the opportunity for me to appear virtually in front of you to share with you my 2 cents worth of Generation Y. Now to give you a little bit of background about myself, some would have said I was a budding entrepreneur. I've had stint of founding a project management company before in Kuala Lumpur. I've also had the opportunity as well to work in a not-for-profit youth foundation in the year 2010. But most recently, I've had the opportunity to travel to 22 countries across the world last year, volunteering in humanitarian and environmental conservation efforts. This happened because I was elected as the global ambassador for the world's largest social entrepreneurship competition called Your Big Year, which was hosted in the United Kingdom, where during my time in November 2010, when the competition was launched, there were 45,000 people from 168 countries who joined, and I'm glad to share that a Malaysian was crowned the world winner. But why am I telling you this? 45,000 people. I've read the statistics. Out of these 45,000 people, 99% of them are all people aged below 30. So right now we're looking at a group of young people who are energetic, who are actually open to try out new ideas and to be involved with a social cause. Again, my trip last year did not win me a tourist visa to 22 countries per se. It actually won me the rights to represent organizations, to actually get involved in volunteer projects, which is pretty much very hands-on. I was involved with building wells for families in Peru, to building stoves for the poorest families in Guatemala, to even raising lion cubs in Zimbabwe. So that was one of my favorite projects. But most importantly right now is through that competition and through its vast number of participation from young people that we are about to see perhaps a new trend that our Gen Y group is commanding from you. Now, I was asked today to actually share with you some tips on how you, as teachers, could groom the leaders of tomorrow. Or in fact, I would prefer the term leaders of today within the own vicinity of your lecture halls or your classroom. Number one, I believe young people of today, they want to be acknowledged for being an agent of good. Now, why do I say that? If we look at the trends of today, people select employers who have a social conscience and leave a positive footprint in their markets or in our world in general. People tend to want to work with organizations who have actually demonstrated or communicated that they are investing their resources towards improving the socio-economic status of humanity. Imagine what could you do in your classes. I believe right now in a conventional class, if youths, the Generation Y, were told of how with the little efforts they have, or for those who are lacking of confidence, with the little talents that they have, they can be that factor of change that they want to see. And I think as teachers, as lecturers and academics, your role is to enable that to happen, and you should be a coach. You should be a motivator. If at the end of the day as well, you have had the blessing or the opportunity to actually launch projects, but I've tried to think of ways of how to get more young people, to get your students involved with these projects, and most importantly, when they are involved, use that time to coach them, use that time to demonstrate to them and to share with them how whatever outcome they're producing for your project, they're actually leaving a good impact to society. And I think that is a gravitating impact, that's a gravitating attraction that will actually draw young people to pay more attention to the content that you share, to the knowledge that you've shared with them. Secondly, I've also believed as our world becomes more integrated, young people, especially Generation Y, wants to become more adaptive. In a sense, at times, perhaps the textbook or the theories may no longer be appealing towards them. I think the Generation Y now would prefer if you could share an example with them that could be found on Twitter, that could be found on Google, that could be found on Facebook, that could be found on YouTube. Because we grew up in an age where technology, social media, fast broadband internet are no longer alien. So pretty much, if we're going to operate in a world in the future where everything are just going to be integrated, it's going to be simplified, why not get your students, why not get us Generation Y more in touch with these mechanisms, get us used to it, get us working with you on those projects. And lastly, I believe to understand Generation Y is to really give them a sense of ownership. I must admit, for my generation, recognition is very important. Even a few words of appraisals, even your role, either as an employer, a teacher, an academic, a lecturer, a professor, or even a guiding student, all you could do that would make a Gen Y's day is to actually coach them, is to actually be interested in their personal development. Because at the end of the day, the same with jobs and careers, I strongly believe Generation Y are not only settling for the bottom line, though they can be quite demanding, but at the same time right now, they are settling for the personal fulfillment that they could not only do positive change for the world, but at the same time they could develop themselves so that they can do better change or more positive impact to the world, to the companies, to the lecturers, to the communities that they serve. So I believe at the end of the day, this is how we should look at Generation Y. No doubt people have somewhat labeled us as a very demanding group of generation. People have labeled us as loving to job hop a lot. People have always labeled us for being more rebellious. But I think it's because we have this amount of energy, the amount of determination and curiosity to want to do something. And I think at the end of the day, if you give us the right motivation, if you build a supportive ecosystem, pretty much have platforms, network with people, get your young talent involved in opportunities where they can realize their contributions and see that contribution lead to a social good, you would have retained the best crop of talents, either for your organization, for your research work, for your projects, or even for your class. Now, given all this point, I would agree, and I hope you agree with me, that the young people, the youths, the Generation Y, are not only leaders of tomorrow, they are leaders of today. I think for Generation Y, for most of you who are attending this conference right now, we should also come to a self-realization that we need to work with the organizations, we need to work with the private and public sectors, we need to work with the NGOs in order to realize whatever ambitions, whatever good visions we have for our community and our country ultimately. So again, this is Michael Teoh here. I would encourage you, if you want to connect with me more, I'll be more than happy to speak about Generation Y, to share with you more about my volunteering experience around the world, of how I've seen doing good efforts like volunteerism does actually produce top talents, does actually produce those personal development skills that you have always wanted for your students, for your employees, and for your people. So do connect with me at www.michaelteoh.com, and I hope to see you there. And thank you again, Delvinda and the great organizers behind CIMA, and also one of the few corporate partners I know of, KPMG, for allowing me to speak virtually. I'll be more than happy to explore ways we can work together. So again, do visit my website, do subscribe to me at the same time, as I'll be giving out freebies when my book about my world expedition is launched. Cheers guys, and good luck in working with the Generation Y. We're not that hard to understand. You just know how to tap into our talent, and we are all yours to make a better change for our world.